Today we've got something very special. This is more or less my dream truck, and Ralph here, I would imagine this is also a little bit of your dream truck as well, because you have put a ton of work into building up this AEV Prospector with a 6-speed manual. How did you end up with a truck like this?
So I was looking for a crew cab truck to take a trip throughout the southwest of the US with my daughter. And I was looking for a manual truck because I hate automatic, so it had to be a manual. So I came across this. I was looking in the US. I couldn't find one in the US, so I came across this in Canada, out of all places, and bought it when it was 1 year old, 23,000 miles on it. And we took it on that southwest trip, and then I've been building it ever since, and it became like the go-to off-road toy.
And it's a pretty unique story with this truck because this was actually used, you said, for display for AEV.
In Canada, yes. So the owner of the truck, the previous owner, was an AEV dealer in Canada, and he basically built this truck when AEV first introduced the Ram parts to showcase that to his customers in Canada because they can't get the factory built ones.
Yeah.
And this was actually showcased in the first AEV catalog and was also on the website before they redid it a while back.
Which is really cool, and because of that, some of the parts on this truck are actually very early prototypes. So these AEV bumpers, like what we had on our Ram truck that we put some AEV parts on, they all look very similar, but this was an early prototype of the bumper.
Exactly. So for the light bar mount, so there's 3 holes, and you can see this doesn't have the center hole in it.
Yeah.
And also for the bottom, in order to get to these bolts, there's usually a cutout on the newer bumpers, so you can get a long extension in to tighten these bolts, and the old bumper doesn't have that. So that's what kind of gives it away as being a really, really early bumper that AEV produced.
Which is cool. I see as well you've got a 16,000 pound Warn winch with a Factor 55 hook on the end of it, and I really like Factor 55's products. Are nice quality.
Yes, they are, and that way, for one, with that much load, you don't have an open hook, so this is a lot stronger.
Yeah.
And I like how it tucks in, so you don't have like a big hook hanging out, and you have to like hook it to the tow hooks or anything like that. It's all like nice and hidden away.
It's cleaner, and on both sides you've got those rubber pads, so it snugs up nicely and doesn't rattle around. And I see as well some Baja design lights.
Yeah, so this is fairly new. I had a normal Onyx 6 bar on there, and I wanted to upgrade it, and because I actually broke a rear Baja Designs light in Moab, and they were really nice working with me on that. And then we came up with sending my bar in, and this is actually a laser light bar. So it actually has laser diodes in the middle. You can see the laser warning label on top here.
So it sounds like it's a pretty bright bar.
And it is very bright, yeah. And so I had them basically change the internals over, but actually keep the old bezels, so you can't really tell it's a laser bar.
Right.
And then at that point, I added the S1 cornering lights, because I didn't want anything on the A-pillars. I just don't like the look of that. And so I tried this. This was like something I came up with as I looked at it, and I think it blends in really well.
And I also like with the color combo of this truck, for one, the gray and black is a really good combination, but something that they did back when they were initially building out this truck is they color matched the grille, and that looks really good.
Yes, that does, yeah.
And then these headlights, what's the story behind this?
So the truck was all chrome.
Yeah.
So everything was chrome. The grille was body color, but the rest was all chrome. So the mirrors were chrome, the door handles, the lights. And I wanted to black it out. And first I just took some OEM black, the night edition headlights, and had Retro Shop convert them to HID and do all kinds of stuff with them. But then over time, because they've been opened up, they started getting condensation in them and whatnot. Right. And then Morimoto came out with these, which are pretty much a plug and play. There's some stuff you need to add resistors to, which we'll probably get into. I reprogrammed the BCM for that, so I didn't need this. And this basically gave it a little more 5th gen look.
Yeah.
Also blacked out, plus they're super bright and really good performing at night. And if you do all these long road trips, having good lights is actually very, very important.
And I would wager that they're a good bit brighter than the factory lights.
Yes, they are a lot brighter.
Did I also notice some extra additional lights here in the grill?
This is strobe lights actually. So the round ones up on the camper overhang, and these are actually strobe lights, like amber strobe lights.
Right.
So when I back up with a trailer, or you're working on the side of the road with a trailer, or you're loading, unloading something, you can turn those on.
Some additional visibility.
Catch some, so somebody's not running into the truck, which obviously I don't want. But I also, again, like the whole theme of the truck, I try to hide these as much as possible.
Yeah.
So they're not in your face when they're off.
And then for wheels and tires, an AEV wheel, and then a big Mickey Thompson Baja Boss. How has this tire treated you?
Actually, this is the best tire I've ever had on any four-wheel drive. I had the KO2s on it, the BFG KO2s before, but they're too soft for this heavy of a truck.
Right.
So they wore out super quick, and they were kind of squishy on the road. And we all know that BFGs run a little smaller than what they're advertised. And so I heard good reviews of this being a mountain snowflake rated tire from Canada. And so I'm like, okay, I need new tires, so might as well give it a shot. And I have to say, this is super aggressive, very well off-road, handles great in wet and like snowy conditions, and it's actually fairly quiet on the road. And these tires have like 8,000 miles on them now, and they look really good for that.
And you said too, you've had this truck in Moab on several trails, so it's not just road trips, cross country.
No, I mean it's been in Colorado up like Engineering Pass and like, you know, Telluride, like all these trails. It's been to Moab 3 times. It's actually towed a trailer from Michigan to Arizona and back before, so I mean it does get used off-road and as a tow rig.
And then, so they're 37s. Anything in particular done to the suspension? Just AEV parts?
That's just AEV parts. One thing, because you know it was built so early, it still has a 5100 shocks, but they're getting a little weak now after 10 years of use. So I'm probably going to upgrade those to the 8100s with the remote reservoir, just to get a little more with the heavy truck, just to get a little more damping out of it.
And then before we continue moving to the back, I want to show what I think is possibly the coolest thing that you've done with this truck. If we pop the hood,
yeah, sure.
We could show the way that you've integrated some of the accessories on this truck and the electronics and the lights and everything, because you said you're an automotive engineer?
Yes, so I'm an automotive engineer for a supplier, automotive supplier. And so obviously that comes with some knowledge. So what I've done is, because a lot of times, for example, these light bars, if you drive at night, you're not supposed to use them on the road, but we all know if you do long trips in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of night, you're going to use the lights. But then if you have oncoming traffic, you have to switch 10 different switches off just to control that. And to get around that, I have a little module here from Laser Lamps, and this is actually integrated into the vehicle can. So that reads the vehicle can, so your high beam, low beam, ignition, parking lights. And that actually uses trigger wires for the Switch Pro, which we have on the other side, on a custom mount that's kind of tucked away. And basically what that does is I can turn the high beams on and off in a normal way, but if I have the high beams on and I hit the switches, then they come on with the high beams. So if I dip the high beams, all the light bars come off. And when I turn the high beams back on, everything comes back on. Same thing with the backup lights. You can add them to your reverse lights. Or there's some pre-wires for some like backlighting. Like if I add some more lights on the camper, they're probably gonna have some backlighting, and then you can trigger that through the parking lights. So when you turn them on, everything comes on the light bars as well. Which
is really cool, because that makes it integrated like it's a factory truck. So like you said, you're not going through and punching buttons on your switch panel when you're trying to switch off your lights quickly.
So in this truck, no factory wiring is cut. So it's either directly ran through CAN, or if I had to tap in, I actually made my adapter harness. So it plugs into the OEM connector. It has a little small short adapter piece that goes into any light, and any wire that is extra runs off of that. So there's no cut wires on this truck anywhere.
Which is really cool. It's the right way to do things, but it takes some extra effort. Another thing that I like a lot is some of what you've done on the interior of this truck. So you'll notice this door card. This is a much newer door card that you've swapped from another truck that you found that was wrecked and that you were able to pull parts off?
Exactly. So this was from a 2024 limited night edition truck that had about 10,000 miles on it, was 8 months old. It got wrecked. As you can see, there's still one panel on the driver's side that's not swapped out, so that's what it originally looked like. But the other 3 are changed, and that just ties into the whole like blackout theme a little better. And there's also a steering wheel that I have that I'm going to change over at some point for a 24 night edition one.
Wheel, yeah.
And the dash, I have to see how I can kind of black that out a little bit. That's still some ongoing work.
Because I think I've even seen on some of these older trucks, people put a slightly newer, like the next newer Uconnect screen in place.
Yeah, but I'm like, you can get a 12-inch screen in there, but I'm not a big fan of these big screens. I'd rather have physical buttons, so that's why I'm fine with the 8.4. But what I had to change on these door cards is actually the switches are still from the 15 because the new switches don't work.
Right.
And the ambient lighting on these new trucks is white, and this is blue. So I actually retrofitted the 2015 ambient lighting into that door card to match the rest of the interior.
And then, as we mentioned toward the beginning of the video, but that you can see on the interior, this is a G56. It's a 6-speed manual, which they stopped offering around 2018. And that is one of my favorite things about this truck, because I've got a 12-valve Cummins with a 5-speed. I love rowing gears in these trucks. Some people might not necessarily understand that appeal, but I know you do, because you've got this truck.
Yes.
What I love about it is whether you're pulling a trailer or it's just the truck itself unladen, when the exhaust brake kicks on, you're able to select a gear, lock it into that gear. The exhaust brake does its thing. You've got full control over the transmission, and just as far as fun goes, it feels like you're driving a miniature big rig.
Yeah.
Going
well,
through the
that
gears.
and also off-road, actually, I prefer a manual. Because if you're going downhill on the automatics, at least on Ram automatics, the first gear doesn't lock up.
Yeah.
So you have to ride the brake all the way down. And even on the steepest descents in this, if you're in low range first gear and you have the exhaust brake on, you never have to touch the brake. Funny thing is, these brakes on the truck are original, and they still have 80% life left.
Really?
And these are the original brakes.
80,000 miles?
Yeah, 86,000 miles on it, because I never use the brake. I usually downshift it and use the exhaust brake, and just like below 15 miles an hour actually hit the brakes.
Very cool. Well, and as we continue to move back, I see you've got a very substantial looking side step, and I see some additional lights as well. I'm guessing that that's tapped into the same sequence that your grill does, so those are some of your strobes?
No, these are actually marker lights.
Okay.
Funny story is, so I don't know if we touched this before. So originally I'm from Germany, and I at some point had the idea to take this to Germany. So there's some of the lighting on the truck is actually EU spec.
Okay.
Because in Germany you have to, on a vehicle over 6 meters in length, which this is, you need marker lights every 2 meters. And if you actually measure this, this is exactly like 2 meters apart.
Right.
And that's why I added those and try to hide them as much as possible to meet that. And we can also see under the tailgate, there's some rear fog lights, which are mandatory in Europe. Right. And some extra reflectors. Hang on, let me move this up so you can actually see those tucked in here.
Oh yeah,
that's
just under the tailgate
reflectors for the EU and the rear fog lights to kind of hide it away, to not make it look too crazy, but to basically make it legal for Europe. I mean, now it's not going to go to Europe, but I just integrated that.
And then, of course, on the back, we've got this Go Fast camper, which is a company that we've worked with, and I love the construction on these. They're actually relatively lightweight for being a metal construction, but I like the durability of that. How has this camper been for you?
Awesome. So, I mean, my goal with the truck was that I wanted a camper so I can sleep, but it should be light enough so I can still off-road the truck. Yeah. So I don't have like a 5,000-pound huge sliding camper in there. And the next thing is I also use the truck as a truck, so you can see the mountain bikes in there. Sometimes I haul firewood or other things. And so I needed the truck bed to be usable. Yeah. So I didn't just want to have something in there that permanently mounts and you can't use the truck for anything. And that's why this is perfect, because you can camp out of it and you can put all your camping gear in it. But if you need to use the bed as a truck, It's actually just like a topper.
Still very usable.
Very usable, and the tent doesn't really add that much height to the truck in general.
And I like as well the pattern that you have on the
Yeah.
cushions that go into the camper.
Yeah, so that was a special for my daughter because she has a pajama with the same pattern, and when I saw GoFest offer that, I said I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's
really,
super cool.
Really cool.
The other thing that I like is you've actually integrated some lights into the bed as well, and very much these are
factory
pieces.
Mopar pieces, but in 15 they were never an option. They started that in 16, but then they only had the switch and the dash, and these are actually out of a 22 with the switch being in there. And as you can see, they work, so they're integrated into the BCM as well, so they work kind of like a 5th gen.
Yeah, so the switch is right here,
Yep.
which is nice. It's accessible for when you're actually in the bed.
And
You've
then
also got lighting up top.
Yeah, and then we got lighting up top here. So white light for when you're actually loading something, but when you get out of the camper at night, you can actually flip it to red, so
Yeah.
you don't attract the bugs and keep your night vision. And the switches are up top, so I can't really reach these now, but there's also in the extrusion on the sides in the camper is the same kind of light that is either white or red. So you can turn that on when you're in the tent.
Which is cool, again, ways that, especially the lights built into the bed, you did it as if it was factory.
Correct.
And used the BCM, like you said, to make it work like a factory truck, which is going above and beyond.
Yeah, same with the 5th gen taillights. So again, this was kind of born, it was chrome lights in there before. I wanted to have black lights, but in Europe you need amber turn signals, and
Right.
the 5th gens have amber turn signals in here. So I'm like, well, might as well do this in one shot. So I bought the night edition lights, ran extra wires to the BCM, repinned the connector, and programmed this so these work like the factory 5th gen lights,
Yeah.
but without any resistors, anything else. So it's just a short connector harness with 2 extra wires running to the front, and they work like factory.
That is too cool. That amount of attention to detail is something that we rarely see.
Same thing, we look at this here. So Go Fast usually has a 3rd brake light in here,
Right.
but the truck I added some cab lights in the front, and it didn't have anything in the rear. So I wanted the 5 red marker lights in the back, and so they also make a 3rd brake light that has the 3 marker lights in the middle. And that bolts into the factory GFC location actually, so I added these other 2, so now you basically have 5 red marker lights, and then when you tap the brake, all the lights come on in the middle as a 3rd
Yeah.
brake light. And then these other 2 are just strobes as well for the back.
Okay, so you've got the amber strobes in the grill, these ones, and then
And then
some
the
on
ones
front
under
of the camper?
under the camper. I mean, we
Underneath.
can walk around the side if you want to check that
Yeah,
out.
so I was wondering about that. So that's what these
Yeah.
guys are tucked underneath?
Exactly. So usually they mount like onto the roof, but I actually made a stainless steel plate on the inside of the camper to distribute
Yeah.
the load, and then some super flat like countersunk bolts, so they're not protruding into the camper too much, and they're like smoked out so that when they're off you can't really see them that much.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's cool.
And yeah, and then we got like all the Baja Designs lights under the bumper for the back. We got the side lights here that you can dim. So when you're at camp, you can dim them down to 10%, or if you're backing up a trailer, you're off-roading at night, you can actually turn those on. And they cover like 180 degrees on the side of the truck.
And there's another couple parts that have a really cool story underneath. A series of skid plates that you said have their origins with the Israeli military?
Correct, yes.
Very
So I was looking for skid plates for the truck, and nobody really makes anything for these Ram trucks, especially under the oil pan and under the transmission. And so I found these basically through the military, and the company actually sold them to me and shipped them from Israel to the US. And I
Yeah.
mean, they weren't sure if they work with the G56 because the military uses automatics, but that was basically the confirmation that they also work on the G56 truck. And it's not that the truck's so high that you're not really scraping much most of the time,
Yeah.
but it's more like branches and stuff that come up, you know, so
Right.
they don't puncture the oil pan or something.
And it's just one less thing to have to worry about because no one wants to puncture a fuel tank and be stranded on the
Exactly.
trail, especially a vehicle this size, getting something like this recovered. If you did have a critical puncture or failure, that would be not easy.
Not easy.
Not easy to get off.
And what I like about these skid plates is that they thought about the cutouts for the oil drains. So you can actually service the truck completely without having to take the skid plates off, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so tell you what, before we close up the video, I think we should jump in it, cruise around the block so we can see how it drives as well. Because again, not a lot of people have gotten to experience these trucks with G56s, and it's one of my favorite things. So let's hit it.
All right, perfect. So now we just have the low beam and fog lights on, and this is just a high beam. You see nothing comes on here.
Right.
But now if I turn these on when the high beam is on, so now we have the cornering lights and the laser light bar on, and now if I dip the high beams, you can see that comes off and that comes back on, so I don't have to mess with that separately. And then I can turn them off again, and now I just have my standard high beam for when I drive around town.
Yeah.
Same thing. So this is the rear fog lights. This is the future for auxiliary power for the back. These are the left and right scene lights. This is the back scene lights. This is not hooked up yet. I have an air compressor for air locker because it has a front air locker in it. Yeah, like.
Oh, very cool.
And that's actually hidden in one of the compartments under the floor.
Is it
back
air locker front and rear?
No, I kept the rear
limited
slip because the problem with these trucks is with so much torque, if you add an ARB, you have no limited slip anymore.
Right.
So then you're just going to spin the tires. So what I thought about is the power wagon locker, because that's a limited slip when open, but that's like $1,500 and, you know, different carrier and all that. So I haven't done that yet, but that's on my to-do list.
But with a limited slip in the rear and a locker in the front, I have to imagine that this is pretty unstoppable.
I mean, I've had it anywhere and I've never got it stuck. So
yeah, traction is not an issue here.
And usually because the Cummins is so heavy, once you get the front up, usually the rear will follow anyways.
No problem.
And what you can see here, so that's the backlighting for the for the switch panel, and T3 is the trigger from the parking lights.
Right.
And now if we add this, so that's a trigger for the high beams. So you can actually see these are the triggers that come in through CAN.
Yeah.
And the strobe lights too, so I have it wired, so if I hit them once, it's just the top and the back ones, and if I tap it again, then I add the ones in the grill. Because if you're parked next to somebody, you don't want to blind them with, you know, the grill ones, so then you just have the top ones on, and then you hit that again and it comes off. So
it's really cool the way that all of that is integrated, and I like your mount as well.
And there's still like a spot, so usually this was 6 analog switches, or just physical switches, and now this is 12 that are like fully CAN controlled everything, but I still have the option to add 2 mechanical switches for something if I want to down the road.
Well, very cool.
And it has the auxiliary switches from the factory, so that's also another. So 4 is the locker, 5 is the compressor, and then these 3 are not used right now, but I still have these on top if I want to, yes.
Yeah, so it's nice the way everything is integrated. And then again, as far as actually driving goes, the G56,
that is the ticket.
Makes it so much fun. So let's hit the road, and I want to talk to you a little bit about what drew you in particular to this transmission versus the automatic. Had you had a truck in the past that was stick and you wanted to do the same thing, or?
No, so I mean, I have always had manual transmissions. So the only truck, we talked about this before, back in Germany, I had a 1500 that was the first automatic vehicle I ever owned.
Right.
And I don't know, every time I drive an automatic, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I would have shifted at a different time or, spot or whatever. So for me, it was clear I want a manual, and I own an old square body Chevy that was a 4-speed, and I put a ZF 6-speed in it, the S6 650 that normally comes behind the Duramax. So that's paired to the 6.2 gas engine now. And because I like that so much, I just said I have to have a manual, and the only full-size diesel truck you could get at that time was the Cummins, and Cummins is an awesome engine anyways. And I just love this combination, even though it's down on power compared to the automatic one. Yeah. But I still prefer the driving. And since you mentioned the exhaust brake, I don't know,
It is.
Just show that really quick. So if we're in third gear now, if you just come off the brake now, you can hear it come on. I'm off the pedals.
And it slows you way down. For people who have driven one of these trucks,
like second gear, I can go down to like 5 miles an hour before even hitting the brake. So
I love the exhaust brake on the Cummins in particular. It's nice on any HD truck, but the way that it works and how effective it is, I like it the best on the Cummins, but especially paired with a G56, it just seems to engage with the wheels and work better with a manual transmission than the automatic.
Well, that is normal driving,
Yeah.
because you can just come to a stop without almost pretty much hitting the brake, but
Yeah.
also towing and off-roading, because you can just go downhill without even having to touch the brake like you normally do.
Yeah, it really does a lot.
Like even if you go down to second gear, like I still haven't touched the brake, and we're like almost to a stop.
Yeah.
So that's,
We can hook it right here. It's, I mean, you don't need any more evidence for how effective the exhaust brake and the engine braking and everything on this truck is than the fact that you're still on your original brake pads.
and
goes to
rotors
show.
at 86,000 miles, and they actually still have like 70% life left in them, so they're still like this thick.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
But
So-
that's if you drive the manual and actually downshift it. I mean, if
Yeah.
you hit the brake all the time, obviously you're gonna wear
You're
it
wearing
out.
faster.
Yeah.
So this truck for you, is this something that you think you would keep
Yes.
pretty much forever? I would
Yeah.
imagine with the amount of work that you put into it, this
That
would be a
is-
hard one to let go of.
That is a family member. This is not just a truck or a vehicle. This is a family member, and that's gonna stay. That's
Yeah.
not gonna go anywhere.
Well, it's really cool to get to check out this truck. Everything that you've done to it. Again, for me, this is essentially a dream truck of mine. A Prospector with the 6-speed, built out the way that this is built out. So really cool for me to get to check out, and I appreciate you bringing it by and letting us film with it. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your trip cross country. I know you're Michigan based,
Yes.
so you're driving through Colorado and heading back that direction.
Heading back on Thursday. Yes. Leaving here Thursday morning and then going back.
Hook in here. Yeah, thanks again for bringing it by. That's all for this video. Let us know what you think in the comments down below, and we'll see you next time.